cool. So this is what it looks like, and this is it, right? So this is the basic default. And the main issue, and this is the main issue, is that this is a sequence, and it's going to trigger off this A first. And when this A finishes, it's going to go to B, then C, then D. However, this branch is going to set these values to 0. However, B, C, and D are still going to fire. And we actually don't want B, C, and D to fire in like pretty much 99% of the cases where you're not doing an IK trace. And this is only doing an IK trace based off of if you're on is falling. And so I was really having a hard time because I just wanted to do a flip animation, and I couldn't do a basic flip animation and keep the IK trace and the IK foot solve working. And so whenever I could either get the flip animation to work, and I could show you how that's broken. It should be broken right now. It is, you see how I have my IK solve right there, so I got that cool dynamic flip position. But then when I go to do a flip, it's still solving for the IK the entire time. Now the offset is to 0, and that just maximizes like the position. However, it's still doing the solve, and it's still like feeding that 0 value in, rather than just following the animation. And so this looks really bad and dumb, and obviously it is an error, but this looks really cool. All right, so what is the fix? The fix is pretty basic. It is basically you get rid of the sequence, and you can reconnect these outputs into these inputs and get rid of these nodes. Or, so that's one solution, or you can keep the sequence and just move the branch before it. And that's the really simple one. And so now the logic is a little bit different. So now if we do the branch before the sequence, when you set the 0 values on this part, it sets the 0 values for the whole thing. And then it stops doing B, C, and D. So the difference is, do you want the values to be 0 and then do the animation? Or do you want the values to be 0 and then have the IK solve continue? I think it's pretty obvious the logic is looking way more for the IK solve to stop. And especially in my case, that's definitely the case. So now we don't have to do anything crazy with the reroute nodes and have a bunch of spaghetti. We could just have the basic branch in front of the sequence. And so now when the sequence fires, we will... why is it not going into the sequence? That was weird. Strange. Anyway, so now when it's false, and we shouldn't do the IK trace, right? It just sets the 0 values and does no IK trace. And so that's a pretty major difference in the logic of where you add that... oh man, I really messed up the organization here. Anyway, it's a pretty major difference in the logic though. So, so I figured that should be pretty important for the community, and I just wanted to show that. And how that is a pretty easy solution to something that took me a few days to figure out. But yeah, but now we should be able to play this, and you can see, so I have a variable running that says grounded true, and basically this is one of my attempts in figuring out the solution to this, is here's my single jump, right, and then the second jump is supposed to be a flip, and so now here is my flip, and it flips normally, like it should, because it's turning off the IK trace. So that's kind of how I found the fix, because of just like the logic of where we do the branch in the if statement. All right, it should be pretty short and sweet, and hopefully that's not too long.